What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Welcome to a new episode of Swipe Up. This is the 47th episode of the show where I love to share some of my favorite posts from Instagram. Let's get it going with a little thing that's going on in my neck of the woods out in Palm Springs. Taco Bell decided to take over one of the hotels. I think it's Hotel V out in Palm Springs, kind of just on 111 around where the Ace Hotel is, kind of South Palm Springs, kind of by the Palm Springs Cove, I guess you could say. But they took over one of the hotels. This is a slow time of year for the Valley. And there's a music event going on, actually. It's called Splash House. And it's basically pool parties that are happening at, I think, 3 different hotels with DJs. So it's like EDM concert at the pool, kind of like what Vegas is. But yeah, so this is one of the things while Splash House is going on. The Taco Bell hotel, which it's painted in Taco Bell. It's got the Taco Bell kind of sign out front. The rooms are decorated in Taco Bell style. They have the hot sauce packets as pillows. Kind of a weird thing. Taco Bell did restaurants. I mean, aside from their fast food restaurants, they did kind of like a high-end restaurant experience in San Diego a few years ago during Comic-Con. So Taco Bell is definitely doing interesting things for marketing. I don't know. I'm not a big enough fan of Taco Bell to where I'd want to go to a resort that's themed after Taco Bell, but I could see the appeal. If there was a fast food place that I was into, like if just a Mexican food burrito shop like took over, like Albert's in San Diego, that's kind of like a chain. There's like 3 or 4 of those out in San Diego. If they decided to do one and it's like it was, I don't care, Mexican theme or whatever, and then, all the food was different menu items, I mean, that would just be great anyway. But Taco Bell, that's like, I always regret every time I have Taco Bell, it always is a bad idea. It is always a bad idea. But I still go and get it every once in a while. But yeah, so that's that. Then we have a new one from Tanaka Tatsuya. She does miniatures, sculpture, artwork, and poses them in very interesting ways with just kind of common everyday stuff. And this one is, of course, Neo from The Matrix doing a bullet time with some Q-tips. Which the fact that they're rebooting The Matrix is ridiculous. Ridiculous. There is no possible human way a remake of the very first Matrix movie will ever have the same, just like, it won't even have a fraction of the impact that the first one did. The first one changed movies for like a decade after it. Like, you couldn't do an action movie without ripping off, this bullet time stuff or just certain moves from that. But yeah. So anyway, so this is just an awesome thing. I love her work. So let's move on. Steve-O shared this. I saw it a few places, but it's those trendy axe throwing places you see. You throw knives and axes. This one doesn't end up very well. Could have ended up way worse, especially the direction the axe blade is facing when it bounces off of the target back at the guy who threw it. But luckily he caught it. Yeah, I'm surprised that doesn't happen more. I'm surprised nobody's gotten an axe in the head from going to one of these places. I think I've never been to one, but I think you're supposed to drink. It's supposed to be like a night out experience kind of a thing. Which it would be fun to throw axes, but I could see the liability issue. All right, so moving on. There's one of my big pet peeves of the desert is the lack of like art. There's like sculpture art everywhere, but there's no like murals. Everything looks like the construction in desert communities. It's all like stucco, all the same color stucco. There's no character, there's no heart. But they're starting to do more public kind of artwork. This one is paintings, benches that are getting painted by local artist Tyson Knight. He has a very colorful pop kind of a style, which you can tell by looking at these benches that are. He's done a bunch of them out and around Palm Springs, but just benches that are painted with like bright yellow and blue, like the primary colors, and silhouettes of palm trees. Good stuff. I'm just happy to see one local artist, making some money from the city. That's good. And two, making the city look better. Like Palm Springs, there is no reason there shouldn't be murals everywhere. There's not a whole lot of big. There's so many walls in this fucking, like with all the gated communities, just like miles and miles of blank walls separating roads from people's homes. There's a lot of opportunity to make this place look a lot more beautiful, and not as sterile as it does currently. But yeah, wanted to show that because I'm happy to see more artwork coming up around the city. Now, moving on, the last clip here from MM Pass, Movie Pass podcast. It's a clip from an interview with Quentin Tarantino about. You could definitely apply what he says to all art forms, but let's check it out. I loved it.
You don't have to know how to make a movie. If you truly love cinema with all your heart and with enough passion, you can't help but make a good movie. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to know a lens, a 40 and a 50 and a fuck all that shit. Crossing the line, none of that shit's important. If you just truly love cinema with enough passion and you really love it, then you can't help but make a good movie.
Fucking love it, man. It's something that I've said a lot. I don't know why anybody would listen to me. I'm not successful yet because you can only listen to people who are successful. But I've listened to a lot of successful people, and I've come to this is like my thought process on art is that there's no rules. And the more you break the quote unquote rules that people say that there are in art, the more likely you are to stand out and make original shit. There's an infinite amount of ways to accomplish anything. You can follow paths that other people have laid in front of you, follow careers, follow the steps other people take. But even in that following, you're not necessarily following exactly as they did. So there's an infinite amount of ways. I don't believe we've discovered all the amount of ways you can make art. And I think just being obsessed with doing it and creating a vision that you enjoy is all that matters, because it's art subjective. There's no right or wrong way to do it. And with movies, it's the same. And I just love that clip. But let's do some shout outs and get the fuck out of here. Shout out to Visit Palm Springs on Twitter. These are all Instagram. So Visit Palm Springs, shout out to you. Shout out Taco Bell. Shout out Tanaka Tatsuya. Shout out Steve-O, Barstool Sports, Old Row Official, Stephen Burrick. Shout out PS Public Arts. Shout out Tyson Knight. Shout out MM Pass 3000. And shout out to you, sir, Quentin Tarantino. New episodes of this show come out daily. Subscribe everywhere. Buy my work over at InspiredDisorder.com and save 10% with coupon code INSPIRED. At Ray Taylor from me. Have a great day, everybody. Peace out!